Yeah, people, I just went to Annapolis, Maryland. The old school traveler decided to go visit um, another state capital. For some reason, I'm on this thing where I'm visiting all these state capitals. It was unintentional, but I've been on a roll. I've been on a roll, and maybe one of my things I need to do on my podcast is tell you the state capitals I visit, over the last, probably 20 years. And the more I think about it, I've been to most of them without even thinking about it. Like I said, it was unintentional that I've been to most of them. Annapolis, Maryland is one of the ones that's unique. Annapolis might be the smallest state capital by population that we have in America. There isn't many cities smaller than Annapolis. Well, Juneau, Alaska. I forgot about that one. I was there this year. Yeah, that's real small too. That's population probably 10,000. Annapolis might be 30,000, and then you got a couple out in the Midwest. But most state capitals are usually one of the most major cities in that particular state. But let's talk about Annapolis. Yeah, Annapolis got a lot of crime for a city its size, but Annapolis is in a large county, and Annapolis is right in the middle of the Baltimore, D.C. metro area, where you got about 8 million people, or at least if you ain't got eight, you see 8 million. You know, and half could be tourists, but they got at least 5 million between Baltimore and D.C. But D.C. is the dominant city in this area. Baltimore is second. And the reasons why, because one got the United States Capitol, and one got crime that's not bad at all, and one got crime that's off the hook, but people don't know it was a lot worse 2 to 3 years ago. I mean, you still got a lot of crime, but you ain't got all the killings. See, it's a difference between having crime and killings. You can steal my car, I'm all right, but you steal my life, I'm not all right. So that's why I say it's a difference in them. But let's talk about Annapolis though. Annapolis is an old city. I mean, old. And I like Annapolis because it's easy to get around. You could almost live in Annapolis and not need a car if you don't go really beyond Annapolis. Yeah, if you're going to stay in the Annapolis area, you really don't need a car. You can Uber around. And Annapolis is a city that got a lot of old people. Old people. They got a couple of colleges there, but they got a lot of old people that like living on the water, got their boats, and that's cool. I kind of like that kind of culture too, but Annapolis is, not cheap, but Annapolis do have some bad areas. And anytime you get young people with old people, there's nothing good that's going to happen for the old people. Old people don't bother young people. Now, Annapolis don't have a homeless problem. If they do, it's hard to find it, but they don't have one. But they got like West Street. Now, one thing is weird about Annapolis. Annapolis is, like I said, it's a small city, maybe 30,000, but they're all bunched up in the middle of the city. Yeah, they're all bunched up in the middle of the city. But the weird thing about Annapolis is that Annapolis got a lot of bars and a lot of restaurants. But most of them are dominated at night by young people. They all work at the state capitol for some congressman or somebody else or whatever. Annapolis got a lot of medical facilities too, because the old people need them. They got some large residencies, residential neighborhoods. Some are just outside of Annapolis. I'm talking about almost like a mile outside of Annapolis. But Annapolis got a lot of suburbs. But in this county, Anne Arundel County, Anne Arundel is the county Annapolis is located in, they don't really call them suburbs. Every place around here is a suburb, primarily of DC or Baltimore. You do get some other cities here, but Maryland is strange. Everything is county based, except for like 4 different cities: Frederick, Hagerstown, Baltimore, and Annapolis. Everything else is county based. So when you see policemen, they're all called county cops. Only in Annapolis, Baltimore, Frederick, and Hagerstown, and Bladensburg, a couple cities inside the DC Beltway, do you see something say city police. But Annapolis, though, yeah, like I said, they have their crime for a city this size at the state capitol. Crime is on the high side. It's on the high side. But when I say that, I'm not talking a murder a night like Baltimore does. I'm talking about one every month or whatever it is. They may have 8 to 12 killings a year, which is still 8 to 12 too many. Too many. But when they have them, the news channels in this area, in the Baltimore area, you look at Baltimore news. When there's a crime in the county or in Annapolis, it makes headlines because when it's a crime in Baltimore, it's just a normal day. It's a normal day. But when it's anywhere else outside of Baltimore, it's almost like they take glee to see crime that's not in Baltimore. It don't matter who it is, what they did. The fact is, it's not in Baltimore. And some people say, well, Baltimore get a bad reputation. No, they don't. They get what the hell they deserve. It is what it is. But Annapolis, if you want to go shopping, they got everything you want except for Walmart. Annapolis don't have a Walmart. It's almost like Annapolis the people think they're too good to have a Walmart. Nope, you got to go a ways to get to a Walmart. Now, you go to the rest of the part of the county, they probably got 10 to 12 Walmarts. You got, it's kind of like a battle of who is the most influential city or area, who has the money. Now, Annapolis has the Naval Academy. So Annapolis is full of Navy residents, Navy people who've been at Naval Academy. Either they worked there or they graduated from the Naval Academy. Annapolis got a lot of those because I happened to go past a Navy football game on a Saturday. Now, like I said, Annapolis got 30,000 people. The Naval Academy Stadium had about 25,000. That's a lot considering how big Annapolis is. But when the Navy plays their home games, all their alumni and everybody else, they come to their games, they come, they show their appreciation, they all come. The whole city, or at least that part of the city, is on lockdown because traffic is horrible. But they do it in a orderly manner too. Because I also have went past there where a game ended 30 minutes ago and the entire stadium is cleared out. Everyone's gone. Cleared out. Now, saying that, I could live in Annapolis. Yeah, I could live in Annapolis because, like I said, you don't necessarily need a car to get around Annapolis. You only need like I said, you can Uber to to shopping areas because Annapolis is not a spread out city. Thank God. Annapolis might be 8 miles by 8 miles at the most. Maybe even 6 by 6. You can walk to almost any place you want to get to. So it's not like you need a car. You may want a car, but you don't really need one. And the shopping, like I said, they got everything you want but Walmart. They got everything you want. So saying that, if I was going to retire and want to be in a city that had everything and not a lot of work to get to what I don't have, I would look at Annapolis seriously. But I'm also a person who knows by living in the nicest area of any city, you don't see the true city. But at the same time, I'm not even living in the ghetto either, just to see what goes on at night. No, not I. I'm a kind of person that I can function 100%, no problem at all, doing everything I need to do while the sun is up. I have no problem at all doing that. Some people like to do things at night, not I. The only thing I like to do at night is sleep or be home doing what I want to do, having fun, whatever I'm doing. So saying that, Annapolis also is on the water. That is what I do like. I like a lot too. Annapolis, seeing like everybody has a boat. Seeing like everybody has a boat. And I'm sure I can find a new friend who has a boat and we can have some fun fishing, hanging out, doing whatever we got to do. Annapolis has it all. Now, one thing about Annapolis, if you come to Annapolis to visit, do not come doing what they call boat week. Don't come doing boat week. It's going to be the worst nightmare you ever had. They get probably about 600,000 people to go to a city of 30,000. Don't look for a hotel. This county don't have enough hotels. You're going to have to you're going to have to go to DC or Baltimore. Don't try and do it in Annapolis. If you do, you just being dumb and stupid, and they charge you everywhere for parking during boat week. They make 90% of their money on parking during boat week. There are places that people Annapolis is not a big garage community. People have houses, and Annapolis is expensive, but people park in front of their house. They will rent you that spot in front of their house, whether it's on the grass, whether no matter what it is, they will rent you that during boat week or during a Navy football game. They're going to charge you $20, $30, $40. Yeah, they're going to charge you. And don't think that when the event ends, you're going to be one of the first ones to get out. No, there's going to be 5 or 6 cars in that person's driveway or yard or whatever it is they have. And if you're the first car in, let's make this a promise. You're going to be the last car out. Experienced it, seen it, got friends who went through it. And don't get mad at the owner because he or she is trying to just make what they can make during that week to cover the rest of the year. And there's no maintenance to them. They're not promising you that because you got there early, you're going to be able to leave first. No, they're going to park you guys. They're going to parallel park you guys, bumper to bumper, to try and get as many cars in it as they can into a tight parking space. That's how they make their money. I got a buddy of mine and his mom. She got a driveway that can handle probably 3 cars on any given day. When boat week comes and Navy football games, and she's right across from the stadium. 3 cars can barely fit. I've seen her put 9 cars, stack them 3 deep, 3 across, 3 deep. She don't give a damn about her grass because she's gonna make enough money from that one event to buy not only new grass but a new house too. Oh yeah. So don't think that you're gonna be able to do that kind of stuff. But as far as visiting Annapolis, you got a few museums around there. You got a few museums. You got the water. But some people don't want to be on the water all the time, and I get that. But you got the water. You got a few museums. But you know, you can look at the state capitol and some of the state buildings and stuff. I mean, you can do that kind of stuff too if you want to do that kind of stuff in Annapolis. But like I said, Annapolis is only 30,000 people, so you can't expect to have the same things you're gonna have in Washington D.C. where you got a million things to do. That's not the case at all. So Annapolis, you can see Annapolis in one day. And if you're going to do that, go out and eat and do some other things. But you can see Annapolis in one day. But now, in the Annapolis area, everything is related to water, to the water. Everything is related to the water. And when I say they got shopping, everything you want, I don't mean they got huge outlet malls. Yeah, in Annapolis, one thing that, you know, I was talking about the crime and they got their share of crime and all other stuff. But you will see those neighborhoods, when you get near them, you will see things changing. So it's not like you're going to just wake up and say, hey, how in the hell I get here? No. You'll see no sidewalks. You'll see things start disappearing. And you'll say, Or you'll see houses that look like it's a house, and then you see 4 doors all in the front. Yeah, you know exactly where you are. You say, okay, this is Spa Road. Why am I on Spa Road? You know, and not necessarily Spa Road, but the roads that's off of Spa Roads. But they've done a good job over the past few years of cleaning up Annapolis too. Like I said, you don't just end up in those areas. Generally, you got to go look for those areas. You got to go find those areas because they're there, and you got to go find them. And the bottom line is, they'll find you if you're looking for them. You know, and that's every city in America has a good side and a bad side. You know, one time it was a song that said, "I live in the world's richest city. I just live in the poorest part of the richest city," and it's a difference. But as far as Annapolis, as far as spending some time there, you know, Annapolis, they probably get more tourists in the state of Maryland, you know, than most, probably 95% of the area of the city, because everybody wants to see the state capitol. They want to do a lot of different things, and parking is a nightmare from hell. It's better now because now they got parking garages, and almost all major shopping outlets you can park for free. You go shopping, you can park for free. That wasn't always the case downtown Annapolis. Matter of fact, downtown Annapolis, you still got to pay. Yeah, you still got to pay. But they got parking garages now that you can pay and you can walk somewhere within a few minutes to get to wherever you're trying to get to. Yeah, you can, you can walk. It's not bad as it used to be when I first used to go to Annapolis. First couple times I went, it was a nightmare from hell. I didn't go to Annapolis because I didn't want to deal with the parking. And then you got to remember where you parked at. Very, very important, because in most cities it's easy to find out because you're only a block or two from where you got to go. Not in Annapolis. You can walk quite a ways, and I don't know how young kids do it coming out of bars. Remember when the hell they park. But as far as having fun in Annapolis, yeah, I posted videos of some state capitals that I visited. So, Annapolis, I use my drone primarily. So you'll see me look at some of the things from a drone. I never drove through it because I was always busy by myself, usually, which is a good thing, which is a fun thing. People got to understand when you're by yourself, you have a lot of fun. I'm not taking directions from anybody else. But the surrounding areas is always kind of cool. And they got 3 or 4 high schools around here that decent sized high schools. But Annapolis high schools, they got a bad reputation, where South River High School is known for racism. So, they all got bad and good. It depends on if you have a kid in the system or not, which luckily most people I know do not, nor will they. So I'm going to let the old school traveler wrap this up on Annapolis because, cities are small cities. You kind of get bored from them real quick. But Annapolis, go visit the state capitol, especially if it's your state. And if it's not your state, go to Annapolis and just see what's there. But there's not a lot to do unless you're visiting the state capitol or you out there on the water. They got lots of water. They got Naval Academy. You can't just go on Naval Academy anymore to do to take pictures or whatever. Now you got to have special permission and other things to go on there. But Annapolis is a pretty little city. All the buildings are small. They built out of look like the Revolution. But it's not a bad place though. It's just expensive as far as parking goes. And some of the restaurants, they've been around for 70, 80 years, and somehow they're making a profit. But Annapolis is better known for its bars. Now they got decent restaurants. Don't get me wrong. And seafood, Maryland crabs is what people around here live for. They live for Maryland crabs. So if you're not a blue crab person, then you're not gonna like it a lot. But they got areas around Annapolis that's within a 15, 20-minute driving radius on a good day. They got some fantastic, Maryland blue crabs. I'm not going to say that they got the best seafood in the world, but they believe that they have the best blue crabs. And I'm not one to doubt them because I'm not a crab person. This is the old school traveler telling you, hey, check out Annapolis.